You walk into an electronics store in 2025, and you don't feel like a shopper anymore. You feel like a target. Light hits you from every angle, blinding whites, burning reds. And somewhere in the chaos, a row of boxes stares back, whispering promises through acronyms. You're not comparing TVs. You're dodging marketing bullets. Neo QLED, Quantum Dot Mini LD, ULED X. A forest of colors, each more next-gen than the last. But nothing makes sense. And that's the point, because confusion is currency. You walk through the store thinking, I just want a screen for family movie nights. And somehow, you leave questioning if your living room is stuck in the past. Every year, homes get smarter, TVs get thinner, brighter, louder about what they can do. But this year feels different. There's too much noise, too many promises, too many tricks. So, let's slow down. This film isn't here to sell you a screen. It's here to tell a story about the technology we live with and the truth brands hope you'll never ask for. Because in the golden glow of your living room, where coffee warms your hand and the dog curls up at your feet, the perfect TV isn't buried in buzzwords. It's built for the moments that matter. Let's rank them, from worst to best. Not by specs alone, but by silence, reflection, and reality. Because the best screen isn't the one that shouts the loudest, it's the one that disappears when the story begins. The bright lie. Let's start where most people do. Too high the TV wall in store number 137. On paper, TCL's S-Class should make sense. Ultra brightness, mini LED, local dimming zones. But in real homes, it's a different story. You bring it home, plug it in, and for a moment, it stuns. Then comes the blooming, the haloing, the gray that was supposed to be black. And the settings. God, the settings. 47 features buried in menus that feel translated from a cipher. One dad wrote online, I bought it for game day, spent half of kickoff setting the colors. He missed the touchdown. That's the thing. Brightness isn't clarity, and performance isn't peaceful. If you have to fight your screen to feel something, you didn't buy a TV, you bought a project. For all the hype, the TCL S-Class lands at the bottom. Not because it's cheap, but because it forgot what we came for. Presence. The loud middle, Hisense U7. Now turn the dial to Hisense. The U7N struts in like it owns the room. 2,000 nits of aggression, over 400 dimming zones, and specs that punch way above the price. But here's what it doesn't say. That the motion can stutter like a bad memory, that sometimes skin tones lean orange at dusk, that the smart platform has the speed of a sleepy Monday. But man, when it works, it works. The game lights up, cartoons glow, your living room becomes a theater for 90% of the cost. It's not polished, but it's passionate, like a used car that still burns rubber. You work with its flaws, because it shows heart, like a TV that knows it was underestimated. We don't rank it low because it's bad. We place it here because greatness isn't just loud specs. It's the quiet moments too, and sometimes, the U7N forgets those. 3. The Family Fortress, Samsung, QN90D. Now we move to one that just works. Picture a Saturday morning. The dog bumps into the stand, the baby toy rolls under the console, breakfast is burning, and the sunlight is flooding in through every window. The QN90D doesn't care. It just does its job. Sharp, fast, unflinching, QLED tech firing on all cylinders. 2,000 plus nits of brightness chewing through daylight like popcorn. It's not romantic, it's not poetic, it's protection. Leave CNN on for hours, it doesn't blink. Wife's cooking show in the middle of sunny chaos, still visible. Your kid pauses. FIFA for 4 hours, no ghosts, no burn-in fear. Samsung, the king of consistency, made a TV built like a minivan. Durable, reliable, and efficient. Not the one you brag about, just the one you come home to, again and again. It lacks the emotional feel of an OLED, true, but in family homes filled with real life and real light, it wins. 4. The Heartbreaker, Sony. i95L. Now we enter another world. Shut the blinds, dim the lamp, let the room breathe. The Sony No. 95L doesn't just show a picture, it paints one. QDOL. The hybrid child of science and soul. You stream Blade Runner 2049, and for a moment, you forget it's a screen. It's not playing light, it's performing it. Colors shimmer, blacks disappear into the air. The image floats like art suspended in space. The dog stirs at your feet. Your daughter leans close, whispering, "Is this real?" And you just nod. No words. But then, reality. The remote feels like it was engineered in 2007. Sony's UI could bore a monk. And the price? Well, let's say it's for someone who believes their living room is a sanctuary, not just a space. Is it worth it? Of course not. Is it unforgettable? Absolutely. You don't buy the A95L because you need it. You buy it because something inside you wants to feel again. And this TV lets you. 5 titty. The Balanced King. LG. C4. Now we meet the one. The TV you'll probably buy and never think about again. And that's a good thing. LG's C4 is the kind of screen that blends into your life. Not because it's forgettable, but because it finally lets you forget the tech. A quiet thunder, OLED purity, sublime blacks, gentle colors. Fast motion, it plays your favorite show, pauses perfectly when the baby cries, then resumes without needing you to scroll past 5 ads and a YouTube autoplay. It's not the brightest in the room, but it doesn't need to be, because unlike others obsessed with being seen, the C4 understands. The best TV isn't the one you notice, it's the one you feel. Gaming? Fast. Movies? Intimate. Real life? Seamlessly integrated. In a world filled with tech screaming for your attention, the C4 whispers. And somehow, you listen. So, when we line them all up from screaming spotlights to quiet shadows, the winners aren't just the brightest. They're the ones that feel honest. TCL falls short, built on illusion. Hisense fights hard, but stumbles. Samsung holds strong, never flinches. Sony enchants, but demands. An LG breathes. So here we are, past the specs, beyond the buzzwords, standing in a quiet room with a single question. What do you actually want from a screen? Because truthfully, the best TV isn't the one that wins a lab test. It's the one that disappears while telling a story, where pixels fade away, and emotion walks in. We named 5, but the rankings were never just about good and bad. It was always about fit. TCL, too loud, too messy, too many hidden shortcuts. A brand furiously tap dancing for your attention while cutting corners behind the curtain. Hisense, powerful, passionate, but not always in control. You get the horsepower, but you'll feel a few bumps along the ride. Samsung K90D, durability wrapped in polish. A family fortress for real homes, not showroom catalogs. The screen you trust when life gets loud and messy and real. Sony A95L, the dreamer, the artist. But not every living room is a gallery, and not every buyer wants to sacrifice smoothness for the soul. LG C4, the one that stays. Because when everything else wants to dazzle you first, this one says, you sit, I've got the rest. And maybe that's the hardest kind of beauty to sell. The kind that asks nothing, but give everything. Here's the truth most tech reviewers don't say out loud. The longer you argue about specs, the less time you spend enjoying the stories. You could keep comparing nits, motion blur, HDMI bandwidth, or you could press play and feel something real. Let the critics argue about grading curves. You'll be halfway through the bear with popcorn in your lap and your partner laughing from the kitchen. Let them battle bit rates. You'll be 3 episodes deep into nostalgia, watching old Pixar films with your kids cuddled under blankets, asking way too many questions about talking fish. Let them obsess over features most eyes will never notice. You'll be living in imperfection and still loving the picture, even if your toddler turned the sharpness up to 100 again. Because nobody remembers the brightness stats on the best night of their life. They remember what was on and who they were watching it with. That's what they forgot in the showroom. That's what all these brands are chasing but never fully catching. TVs aren't a tech product. They're a home product. One that doesn't just sit in the room. It creates the room. The laughter, the silences, the one more episode promises, the don't look, this part's scary. Warnings, the Sunday games, the 4 a.m. documentary binges, the random YouTube rabbit holes, the fights over volume, the living room sing-alongs. When a screen becomes a memory machine, tech becomes magic. But here's the final warning. That magic can fade fast if you buy wrong. Because every year, they try to pull you back into the chase. OLED just became QD-OLED. Now, it's Super QD-OLED. Next, maybe Mega Neo Quantum X3000. It never ends. Because your doubt is profitable. They want you to be nervous second-guessing, always reaching for the comma at the end of better. So this is us grabbing the wheel. No more chasing trends, no more default hype. This year, you buy with confidence. You buy knowing who you are and what your home needs. Want the deepest blacks and most cinematic experience? Stay in the OLED lane. The LG C4 if you're balanced, the Sony A95L if you're bold, the Samsung S95D if you want brightness and punch. Want simplicity, durability, and performance during chaos? QLED is your zone. Samsung's QN90D is a fortress. Hisense U8N is the rebel with a work ethic. And TCL? Leave it on the shelf unless you love tweaking what should have worked out of the box. Want a cheat code? Here. Bright room? QLED. Dark room? OLED. Big family? Wide angles plus durability equals Samsung. Film nerd at heart? Sony or LG OLED? Just want it to work without drama? You're marrying the LG C4. It's that simple. The TV industry loves to wrap simple truths in complex myths. We just unwrap them. So when you next walk into that glowing display aisle, you're not walking in fear, you're not overwhelmed. You're the calm in the storm, an informed buyer, unshaken by labels, acronyms, or that grinning salesman who points at a blinking number and says, "This one's the future." No, the future is who's holding the remote, not the brand behind the screen. And that's you. Now here's what they didn't want you to figure out. It was never about contrast ratios. It was never about peak brightness. It was always about presence. So ask yourself one final question today. Do you want a TV that flexes for strangers? Or one that disappears into your memories? The ones you'll make. The stories are still to watch. The people who will sit beside you when the world gets quiet, and all that's left is sound, color, and feeling. That's the screen to buy. One that's smart enough to work and humble enough to get out of the way. They want one that's smart enough to work. Before you go, hit that subscribe button. We don't just review, we expose ourselves. From the hype, to the hidden failures, to the tricks brands hope you'll never question. So hit like, tap subscribe,